The holidays can be a crazy time, but there are some things that we can do to stay sane if we go ahead and we dig underneath the surface to examine what really matters first. So let's get to that so that we can have one of the best holiday seasons ever. All right, cool. Now, I know that when this video goes live, we are going to be in the middle of the holiday craziness. And that is really part of the point of me releasing it this week. I want you to be able to take a step back and think about that sort of tension that you're probably experiencing in your life between the need and the want for connection and the need and the want for time with your family or by yourself, or just to not feel overwhelmed by all the stress and the drama that goes on during the holidays. I just want to be here and to remind you that that's valid. It's unfortunately normal. If you're experiencing that, and it's okay to say no, it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to reschedule things with people that you care about and you want to see to a time that's after the holidays. And it is also okay to skip out on things. The main idea here with being happy and productive during the holidays in like a holistic and sustainable way is not trying to cram in every single party that you're invited to, or go to every single thing. It's not trying to see all of the family or host all of the parties. It is choosing really carefully what matters most to you and the people and the things that you want to spend time doing and with during the holidays, and making sure that you schedule time for those things and for those people. And then, you just kind of let the other chips fall where they may. If there is something that sounds nice but isn't like the top of your priority list in terms of people or activities, it may not be something you need to do this year. It may be if you have the time and capacity for it, but maybe you'd rather spend that time at home doing something to relax, or do that doing something with the people that you do love and care about, like your family or your friends, making a Christmas tradition or doing something that you do together every year. The goal here for the holidays is to have as much joy as possible and as little like bad stress as possible. The holidays are supposed to be this like magical, joyful time, a time to connect with others and just celebrate the many, many good things that we have in our lives. As a Christian, I celebrate Christmas. And so it's also a time for like reflection and thanking God for the gift of Jesus that he sent to earth. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we clear out as much stress as we can, the pressures that you're putting on yourself, the things that may be crowding up your schedule, and also make room for things that are bringing you joy. For example, a tradition that my husband and I have started it's sort of loosely based on what I hear is an Icelandic custom. If you are actually from Iceland, you can tell me if this is something that you do or not. I've seen it on the internet several places, but I don't have any sources for it. But we exchange gifts on Christmas Eve night, and then we allow ourselves to stay up late reading them. Sorry, did I say gifts? I meant we exchange books on Christmas Eve night, and then we allow ourselves to stay up late reading them. Last year, we actually just wrapped books for each other that we already had because we buy a lot of books, and so we didn't necessarily need to buy books. I don't know what we're going to do this year, probably something similar. But it is such a fun, joy-filled tradition because we get to unwrap it, even if we know that we already own a book. We get to unwrap it and then spend the time actually reading it, which is something we don't always make time for as much as we'd like. So that's an example of one of the ways that we've tried to infuse joy into our holiday season. Another is that we're having some of our favorite people over for a kind of Christmassy Murder on the Orient Express themed murder mystery party right at the beginning of the month before things get super crazy, so that we know we had that time with friends as things pick up and we see, family that we don't see as often and probably see our friends less. I think the key to being able to make these decisions about, what things you want to do, what things you're maybe going to pass on for the year, how you're going to insert joy and take out stress in your life is preparing yourself mentally. And, you can do this as early as you want, but right now, whatever time of the holiday season it is that you are watching this, it's okay to take a step back and kind of think through where you are right now and where you are headed for the rest of the holiday season. If you kind of think about it, it's a great time to practice gratefulness for the people and the relationships that you have, for the people who have formed you, for, the workplace that you have, for the people that you love and care about. It's a great time to practice gratefulness for what you have and the life that you get to celebrate during this time. It's also good to think through some actual strategic ways that you can help yourself be less stressed and more joyful during the season. So I'm going to go through a few that I have thought of, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The first is to allow yourself some ramp down time after every get together or party. If you have a long enough drive, this will kind of sort of be built in, probably, assuming that you aren't driving, from one thing right to the next. I think it's something that often gets forgotten during the course of regular life, but especially during the holidays, where we just kind of go from one thing to the next and we don't allow ourselves any time to kind of process and decompress and ramp down from anything that may have happened to us while we were at, a social function or preparing for something. So it's a really good idea to look at your calendar and make sure that you're giving yourself that time to breathe and kind of process through any emotions that might have come up. Be in touch with yourself and make sure that you and, your loved ones that you live with are doing okay, or, your friends or whoever, just to kind of check in with yourself and make sure that you are good to go for the next thing and you don't have that stress just building up day after day, party after party, get together after get together. The second thing is make sure that you have a couple of projects or things that you are doing that you are really, really looking forward to. That is going to give you a lot of joy and a lot of perspective as you wade through the things that you've decided to do, but that are maybe less enjoyable or more boring or maybe a little bit more dramatic, right? Because a lot of times when we get together with family or with people we haven't seen in a long time, there are things that happen and there's sometimes drama, there's sometimes a little bit of tension, and that can be really not fun in the moment, even though you love the people that you're with and it is important to you to be there with them. And so just making sure that you have something, maybe you're putting together a puzzle at your house if you like that, or you've bought yourself some really nice bath salts for the season, or maybe you have a project that you're working on that you are really enjoying because you have this extra time off. Make sure that you have something that you are doing or thinking about that is lighting up your days so that can help you carry you through that holiday season. And then the third is just this, simplify the stuff that you have to do during the holidays. I know for a lot of us, we're giving gifts, we're sending out cards, we may be hosting things, we may be attending things, and there are a lot of details to attend to, and that can be overwhelming. It doesn't really matter what kind of person you are, if you like details, if you don't like details, the amount of things that you have to mentally keep track of and physically do during the holidays can be a lot. So make sure that where you can simplify, you do. I'm all about being thoughtful toward people and, doing the best you can to take them into consideration on an individual level. But there are some things that you may be able to simplify, in terms of gifting or in terms of hosting. You may be able to have people bring more food than you're used to, or you may be able to simplify or order some food out, or just pick different recipes that aren't as hard for you to make or don't take as much time. Honestly, the most important thing about the holidays is spending time with the people that matter to you. And so, if you normally make your famous 12-hour cake and you don't have the time or the capacity to do that this year, that is okay. People want to see you and not your cake. And if for some reason you are hanging out with people who only care about your cake, then just skip that party. They don't need you. Go hang out with people that care about you and that you love. Let's talk about what makes a good gift. And you can put your own ideas in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But to me, a good gift is one that is thoughtful toward the person receiving it. So that doesn't mean it has to be expensive. That doesn't mean it has to be fancy or crazy or oh my word, I would never have thought of this, but I knew I needed it, or oh, you read my mind, this is what I've always wanted. But it does need to show that you took some consideration when picking the gift out for the person, right? It really helps if you know the person enough to know what kind of gifts they like to get. So some people tend to lean more toward gifts that are like kind of sentimental in nature, like they have some like personal meaning or just really nice like words or sentiments behind them. Some people really like practical gifts that they can use all the time, every day. Some people really like to get sort of like more luxe or nice things for Christmas, and things that they would maybe never usually buy for themselves. And a lot of times, any sort of combination of those things is really nice. So my general thing, if I'm not sure what to get somebody, but I do want to get them a thoughtful gift, is I try to get them something that is consumable. So that like hits a couple of things. It's like normally it would be like a treat, maybe something that they wouldn't normally buy for themselves, or maybe something that they would buy for themselves, but because I bought it for them, they don't have to buy it for a little while, like a nice candle or some snacks that I know that they like. But if it's consumable, it's also very practical, and it's not something that they feel like they have to hold on to for a long time. So that's kind of a thing I do, especially if I'm not sure about somebody, or if I feel like they just have everything already and they don't need anything more. That's a really nice way to get them something, show that you care, be thoughtful, but not like weigh them down with extra stuff or get them something they don't necessarily want or need. If the gift you're thinking about getting somebody is sort of like more practical in nature, obviously you can spend any amount of money on any kind of gift, but those are usually fairly affordable. Sentimental gifts as well, like sometimes you can make something for them, or you customize it in a way that is really thoughtful and helpful. And the like more expensive kind of glam, like luxe type of things, Christmas is a really good time to get those kinds of gifts, because people and companies do tend to put sales on those things. So maybe normally it's a $70 item, but you can get it for $40, and then you're suddenly like, okay, I can get this for that person on my list because that's within the amount that I'm willing to spend on them. Or maybe it's normally a $50 item and you're willing to pay $20, right? Like that tends to be more the budget where I'm going with my gifts. But you know what you can spend on gifts. And it's really helpful to have sort of that framework when you're trying to choose gifts for somebody, right? One way that you can make and or emphasize the thoughtfulness on any of your gifts is to include a little note with it. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It can even just be like a sticky note where you write a couple of words, but it can be like, hey, I saw this and I thought you would enjoy it because, and then put in your reason, fill in the blank. Or it can be, hey, I always think of you when I eat this, or when I see this piece of art, or whatever. And you can go ahead and write a little memory or a thought or something that would be meaningful to them and show that you care about them, that you like them, that you put some thought into the gift. And a lot of times that's really meaningful for people to just be able to read that. And, even if they end up, using up the gift, or they're like, this isn't necessarily something that they would have used or picked out for themselves, they know, and it gives them something positive that they can focus on. I'm not saying that you should prepare for them to hate your gift, because they probably won't. But I am saying, if you're worried about does this show my thoughtfulness appropriately? Adding that personal touch really does. So with that, there is no shame in giving a gift card or a cash gift. I know that you think well, that's not super thoughtful. Well, if you want it to be thoughtful, you can just include a note about it and say, hey, I want you to buy something nice for yourself. And I know you like this store. Or whatever you want to write. Just write something heartfelt, write something that shows them that you love them and you care about them. And that's good. Everybody's happy to get cash. Another thing that you can consider doing is crafting an experience that you can do together. It means that you get to spend more time together, which is a gift in and of itself. And it's also something where if you want to get a gift for your whole family that they will enjoy, you can book an experience or create an experience for them as a gift. And then finally, I will just give one tip for gifting for kids, not because I'm a parent or that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to kids, but because I do kind of remember what it's like to be a kid and conversations with my friends. And I would say that one thing that my friends and family did really well when it came to the holidays or my birthday or whatever is they really focused on fun with my gifts, right? Like my parents might get me clothes or books or whatever, as part of my gifts, but my extended family would usually get me something fun. They would get me toys or art supplies or like whatever I was into at the time. And I think that with kids, if you do have kids on your list that you're buying for, it really helps if you focus on the fun. Like they're going to enjoy unwrapping it a lot more and using it. Maybe they'll play with it right there. But it does really help create that magical and joy-filled experience that you're trying to get for the holidays for the child that you're giving the gift to. So that's just the one thing that I would say is like, if you have a kid on your list and you're not sure what to get them, I would lean towards something fun. Okay, that's what I have. I would love to hear in the comments the ways that you are finding more joy in your holiday season this year. So go ahead and leave that, and I will see you in the next episode.